Today we're talking about surprising facts about Angelina Jolie, and this list is long and may shock you as far as how diverse and unique this woman is.
Angelina Jolie is a Hollywood icon. She's an actress that people adore and look up to due to her beauty and talent.
After 8 years, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt have finally settled their bitter divorce.
She has gone from strength to strength, appearing in everything from bizarre independent films to huge budget blockbusters.
Now, what you don't know, or maybe you do know, she finally got her divorce from Brad Pitt, and it is officially finalized. It's been about 8 years since Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie officially called it quits.
Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie finally reaching a divorce settlement after 8 years.
Now, signing on the dotted line took quite a while as there was a lot of conflict between these two, including the accusation that Angelina shared with Brad about him being abusive.
Jolie claimed Pitt was abusive to her and their children during the 2-year marriage.
Now, they finalized their divorce on December 30th, 2024. So they are now officially divorced. Angie's lawyer, James Simon, concluded this is just one part of a long, ongoing process. Angelina and the kids packed their bags and pretty much left all the properties that they had shared with Brad ages ago just to find some peace. Frankly, Angelina is exhausted, her lawyer adds, but she's relieved to finally see some closure. Meanwhile, a friend close to Angie spilled the beans that she doesn't talk trash about Brad Pitt, publicly or privately. She's been working overtime to keep things positive, but you can't blame her to have some ill feelings after such a bumpy road. This one is pretty surprising, but you guys probably have heard the rumor, and it's true, so it's not a rumor. She once wore Billy Bob Thornton's blood in a vial. Each of them exchanged blood. They wore it on their neck. In multiple interviews, she shared that this exchange of blood was really meant as a pact to each other. At the time when they were madly in love, or she was madly in love with Billy Bob and Billy Bob was madly in love with her, I did read that, at the time Billy Bob was extremely uncomfortable in the relationship because he's like, how could he land such a hottie? And he basically admitted to blowing that, imploding that relationship, that marriage, because he couldn't figure out how to keep someone who at the time was one of the hottest, female actresses, and she was madly in love. I remember watching a video where she's like, we made a pact to each other and we're never gonna separate. It's so interesting how you see romantic relationships in Hollywood unfold, where these two were inseparable. I mean, how do you go from wearing each other's blood around your neck, making a pact that you're never going to separate, that you basically made a pact in blood, like blood brother and blood sisters, that you guys are partners for life, to you're no longer married, right? So anyway, this is Hollywood for you, but that is what she once did. Now, I didn't know this, and it was interesting to discover that she took flying lessons and she actually got her pilot's license. A lot of stars like to be flown by other people, but part of the reason or motivation that Angelina Jolie supposedly got her license to fly is because her dad, John Voight, had a serious fear of flying. Maybe this is her way of rebelling because they did not have they were estranged for quite a while. And people, who are estranged from their parents, what are they going to do? They're going to do the thing that probably their parents would never do, and he would never get his pilot's license, and she did. Today, Jolie sometimes soars above LA in a single-engine Cirrus SR-22, and she occasionally brings her children along for the ride. You'd think that someone like Angelina Jolie would not, would be in the passenger seat and not someone who's actually flying the plane. Now, there once was a time where she toyed with being a funeral director. Before red carpets and Oscars, Jolie considered a career that would have put her on a very, very different path: funeral services. I mean, she does sometimes exude this RBF and, very serious tone, and she does like to help people in distress. And how more distressed could you be than, being a funeral director? You've got to have thick skin and, a lot of emotional stability and the bandwidth to deal with all the loss. She revealed that as a teenager, she was troubled by how impersonal and cold funerals felt. So I guess she had a mission at one point to bring some warmth to that. Next, she had a roller coaster relationship with Jon Voight. This is not something of a secret. And it's not uncommon for celebrities to report that they have troubled relationships with their parents. You see a lot of young stars. There's Paris Hilton, who had troubles with her parents. You have, Drew Barrymore, who's had trouble with their parents. Lots of young child actors and actresses have had troubled relationships with their parents. She has had an ongoing feud with her dad, Jon Voight. One time, Voight went on TV claiming that his daughter had problems. And in doing that, that's one of the times that she was completely enraged. And then they had no contact for quite a while. Supposedly, as time has passed, they've made some attempts to, repair that relationship. They seem to have arrived at a place of, being civil. And rumors swirl that the relationship, still remains fragile, but they're, trying to find a fresh perspective and practice forgiveness. Now, we know she's a devoted humanitarian, and it's on a global scale. A lot of celebrities dabble in humanitarian work, but Jolie is deeply invested in the work. She's completely hands-on. She began collaborating with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, the UNHCR, in 2001, visiting refugee camps and war-torn regions. Okay, we see a lot of her philanthropic work and her being in these nations and places in the middle of, turmoil. She's traveled to countries like Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and often she's traveling without a massive entourage, without a makeup crew, without a bodyguard. She's really the epitome of philanthropy when it comes to celebrity work and being in the trenches, if you will, with these impoverished people doing the humanitarian work. Her resume includes founding the Maddox Jolie Pitt Foundation in Cambodia to support education and conservation projects. Now, Jolie has more tattoos than you may think. She's actually covered in tattoos. Each of them shares a very significant story. Each of them has meaning. It's not a secret that, she loves tattoos. People know she sports the Latin quote on her lower abdomen and the coordinates of her children's birthplaces on her upper arm, but few realize that she has a much bigger collection. She even got a Buddhist prayer on her back that she got in Cambodia, the Bengal tiger that covers much of her lower back, and an infamous dragon, which she has since modified. Okay, she's spoken about how each tattoo marks a stage in her life, so some chronological event or order or importance. But isn't that what most people do when it, comes to tattoos? It signifies something. She seems to relish standing apart in an industry where, it's deemed not cool to be covered in tattoos, especially as a female. Now, for those who don't know, she donated a third of her SALT salary. Her charitable streak, again, it goes beyond just, making small donations. When she was on the ground and has been on the ground in complete activism, and when she starred in the 2010 action thriller SALT, she donated 1/3 of her salary to various humanitarian causes. It is fair to say that because she's accumulated a lot of wealth, she is giving back. She's very conscious of it, not just giving back in her time, she's also doing that in her resources. Okay, she puts her money where her mouth is as well, through actions and through resources. Now, Jolie has directed films to tackle very tough subjects. In fact, aside from being somebody who literally dominates and shines in front of camera, behind camera, she also does an amazing job. She jumped behind the camera to direct and focus heavy material that many other filmmakers would shy away from. She is not afraid of controversy. She is not afraid of standing for something, for speaking her mind. I do love that about Angelina Jolie. You cannot, fault her or say that she's not a woman of action, that she's not a woman with integrity or purpose or passion. She is all of those things when it comes to filmmaking, when it comes to directing, and when it comes to taking projects that reflect her, passions and her beliefs. Now, she has had an on and off relationship with Hollywood. Her relationship remains this sort of love-hate relationship. One hand, she scooped an Oscar starring in mega hits like Maleficent, and she's been an A-lister since her early 20s. She has been in so many incredible movies, and of course the infamous Mr. and Mrs. Smith, where she and Brad met, and you could see the chemistry flying, and not so long after did they get together. But friends say that she'd rather immerse herself in activism. Yet I do believe that her role and her notoriety and her success in film has given her more resources and the ability to fuel her passions. Here's a celebrity that uses her stardom for, her speech, for her causes, to fund her projects, to start charities, to fly to all these different places so that, the work that she's doing, her love of the screen and the hate of the screen, maybe can translate into something real, concrete, and good for humanity. What do you guys think of my list? Me, I am a fan of Jolie. What are your thoughts on her? And do any of these facts surprise you? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.